Welcome into the Cowboys Report. Tom Downey here. As always, we're breaking down some potential next extension candidates for the Dallas Cowboys. Obviously, the Jake Ferguson deal done and completed. The Cowboys hinting they are not done yet, however, with extensions. Of note on the Jake Ferguson side, 4 years, max money's $52. I've seen some reporting of $50 million, not quite finalized yet. Guaranteed money is allegedly $30. Even though we're like 5 days past the extension, or I guess 4 days past the extension, I don't know what the actual nitty-gritty details are yet, which is kind of unusual. So I don't know what the average per year really breaks out to be. When's the out? What's the cap impact? A lot of details we still don't know. Despite that, I want you guys to grade the Jake Ferguson contract extension. Head down to the comments section. Let me know. Then we'll break down some of the comments from Stephen Jones, Brian Schottenheimer. A, B, C, D, or F. Here's what Stephen Jones recently said about a potential extensions that are still to come. Like, can more happen? He says that they can. I mean, we still obviously got a lot going on. You don't like to talk about them until they're done. I would have told you this deal may have gotten done before camp started. But you just got to dot all the I's and cross all the T's. Everyone's got to get comfortable, and you go from there. Brian Schottenheimer, at his press conference following the news of the Jake Ferguson extension, says there are a number of guys we are working to get done. I think from the Cowboys' perspective, it would be a extremely strong outcome if they can get more done. If they can get more deals done and completed and find a way to get other players paid. I think that would be a successful contract side of training camp. So with that in mind, how many more players, if any, do you think the Dallas Cowboys will end up extending? Let me know at the pinned comment of today's show. Let's discuss some extension candidates then. Let's go with the obvious one, and that is Micah Parsons, the defensive end who we've spent a lot of time on because, of course, we have when it comes to the Micah Parsons side. I think he remains the most obvious extension candidate. Kind of like how CeeDee Lamb last year was supposed to be your free square, yet here we are almost in August and no deal is actually done yet. I still think we're stuck in the when phase, not if phase on the Micah side. Look, the reality of the Micah deal is what it's been for a while. It's going to be expensive. We know that. He is going to beat TJ Watt as the highest paid non-quarterback in the same way he was going to beat Jamar Chase. He was going to beat Myles Garrett. He was going to beat all these guys when we were at that point. It's just they've dragged it out once again. I think he'll also beat Garrett as the highest paid guaranteed money in terms of non-QBs. Like, I just think that is a likely outcome for the Myles Garrett or for Micah Parsons and the Cowboys. That's just always been the case here. I still believe, and I'm pretty confident in this in the end, that this deal is going to get done. I think the Micah Parsons contract will get done for the Cowboys. It's just we're doing the same thing we've done over and over and over again. That we're stuck in this silly contract silliness for the Cowboys when we should not be stuck in this. You could have found a way to do this months ago if you wanted to. But here we are. Cowboys haven't done it. I find it frustrating. It is what it is. So, we saw the Lamb one drag out. We saw the Zeke one drag out. We saw all these deals drag out. Will the Cowboys get a deal done with Micah Parsons and get him paid before the preseason ends? Y for yes, N for no. Let's go to DaRon Bland. And this one, these next two I'm extremely curious with because I think it'd be a win if you could get them done. And to the Cowboys' credit, thanks to what DaRon Bland himself has said, we know that they're working on deals here. DaRon Bland saying that they've worked on an extension. Their agent has talked to the Cowboys and, quote, Dallas is always where I want to be. Hopefully we can get it done. Being early, which is what you would be right now, on a DaRon Bland extension would be great for the Cowboys. That would be a win for Dallas to get that deal done early. I do think there are some complications here for the Cowboys, for Bland, and I don't think it is as frankly as easy as the Micah deal is. I know the Micah deal is crazy expensive, but he's going to be the highest paid non-QB in the NFL. We know that already. I don't know what the market truly looks like for DaRon Bland. Some of the issues they're battling here. Look, you've paid Trayvon Diggs already. We'll discuss the latest Stephen Jones comments there today. They're clearly mad at him, and I don't think he's going to be here next year. We're well on that path. But do you pay Bland as a nickel or an outside corner? Because those are very, very different markets. We're talking truly double for an outside corner to top market versus double for a nickel corner. What that market looks like, I don't know, actually. I don't think it's the Sauce Gardner, Derek Stingley, but you look at this grouping and, some of these guys can kick inside. Ramsey has, Denzel Ward's kicked inside, but, the nickel outside corner, borderline 50-50 hybrid split is tricky to actually figure out as far as I'm concerned. So I think there's one other player who is kind of in a similar spot, and I look to what Trent McDuffie's deal is potentially going to look like. I think he's not the same interception king, but I think is probably better than DaRon Bland. So, does he get paid first? Do you beat the McDuffie deal? In the end, I am taking a let's see, but I do want to believe the Cowboys can find a way to get the DaRon Bland deal done. Does it start with a 2? I would kind of think yes, but I think this one is a little bit more complicated. So I'm going to give the Cowboys a little bit more grace on an extension. Today's show is made possible by Ethos. As a father of one kid and a second one on the way, trust me when I say life insurance matters. It's not fun to think about what would happen if something happened to you, but you do need to be prepared. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/NFL Daily. That's ethos.com/NFL Daily. Ethos is a trustworthy company that disrupts the traditional life insurance industry, and it's more affordable than you might think. Ethos is an online platform that makes getting life insurance fast and easy to protect your family's future in minutes, not months. There is no complicated process, and it's 100% online. No medical exam is required. You just answer a few health questions and get a quote in as little as 10 minutes. 3 million families have completed their applications and trusted Ethos to help find the right coverage. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/NFL Daily. That's ethos.com/NFL Daily. Link is in the comment section and the description of today's show. We appreciate Ethos sponsoring us here on the Cowboys Report. Next up is Tyler Smith. And again, this one I think is probably a little bit more cut and dry than the DaRon Bland deal, but we know how the Cowboys like to operate here. Of note, the Cowboys and Stephen Jones, Adam Pacifica have had discussions with Tyler Smith's agent. He was at Cowboys practice the other day. The Cowboys have the 5th-year option next year for Tyler Smith. So unlike DaRon Bland, whose deal is expiring, there isn't the same level of urgency, but we know he is a core piece for this team. We know that. They keep calling him an all-pro. The Trey Smith contract, I think, pretty clearly lays out what to expect. Trey Smith got 4 years, $94 million. That's $23.5 million per year. The guaranteed money is $70. The Chiefs and Trey Smith had more of a deadline with the franchise tag extension window that had passed 2 weeks ago, a little more than 2 weeks ago. A smart team, I think, would find a way to at least pay Tyler Smith now. Because if you start getting into the 5th-year option price tag, which isn't actually that much less than the average per year Trey Smith gets because the NFL is stupid with the way they do their offensive line 5th-year options, the salary cap would benefit from that. You would benefit big picture from doing that deal early. If you want to pay someone, he's a core part of your team, pay him early. It saves you money in the end. Let's go to the kicker, Brandon Aubrey. And this one, look, is kind of unique, more so than other players. Aubrey is only entering his 2nd year or his 3rd year in the NFL. In most cases, you have to wait 3 years to pay somebody, but Aubrey was an undrafted free agent, so the rules are actually a little bit different for him. He's been awesome for the Cowboys. Our alien kicker has been nothing short of incredible. There's team control here, and I think this makes it curious for me to see how it ends up playing out. Now, I'm pretty sure this is still the case, but the Aubrey should be a restricted free agent in 2026. So you have some variety of options here. You can do the first round tender, which is $7.89 million per year and probably more than what you need to do. The second round tender is $5.66, which, as we'll get into, is less than the highest paid kicker in football. Right of first refusal, which I don't think you'd use, is $3.45. You could just franchise tag him at $6.73. I'm pretty sure he's an RFA, even though he was an RFA. I'm pretty sure that's how the contract still works out. So, is worth mentioning all of that. Just make him the highest paid kicker in football if you want to go down that path. Or do the tag/tender and then pay him. Harrison Butker is the current highest paid kicker at $6.4 million per year. That is less than the franchise tag cost for a kicker. It's weird. Football's weird how this always works out sometimes with tags and everything. So the franchise tag costs overall $28 million for wide receivers, $26.54 for defensive ends, 21 and change for cornerbacks. So George Pickkins, who we'll discuss, if you had to go down the Micah Parsons path, which would be stupid, DaRon Bland corner. Those are all projections. They could change, but that is how it kind of sorts out right now. Cowboys, I don't like using the franchise tag. Dallas is on board because team control, I think it actually limits your flexibility. Do you think Dallas ends up using the tag next year? I think there's a pretty high chance of it. Y for yes, N for no. One prime tag candidate is George Pickkins, the wide receiver, who, by the way, is repped by David Mulgeta, which should not be ignored given the issues you're having right now with the Micah Parsons contract saga here. I have pretty low expectations of a George Pickkins extension. It just feels to me like both sides are content to wait. Dallas wants to see how George Pickkins fares in this offense and to make sure it actually works. Pickkins knows, hey, if I wait, I might end up getting a pretty big deal from the Cowboys, and or somebody will pay me more money than what I'd be able to make right now. So I would not be surprised if all the parties involved here choose to wait this one out. Some notable extensions, by the way, that I think are worth mentioning, a kind of a wide range, like Jerry Jeudy got $17.5 million, and that was last year. Chris Godwin got $22 million. Devonta Smith got 25. Jalen Waddle, T. Higgins are kind of your twos, so to speak, who got pretty good amount of money. Not on this list, but worth mentioning, Courtland Sutton got 23. It's going to be a year later with a higher salary cap. It's somewhere in that, probably mid to low 20s at minimum, and if he balls out, it could be even higher. Now, we'll have more Cowboys videos for you right here on the channel, so make sure you guys are subscribed. YouTube.com/@CowboysTV. Free videos when you sub. One fairly notable name here that I want to mention is Sam Williams, and I mentioned Sam only because other Cowboys insiders, guys like Nick Harris, I think Calvin Watkins mentioned him too, they've mentioned Williams as an option. And I find that interesting. And I'm not quite sure I buy it. I think the Cowboys are very happy with the way Sam Williams has handled his rehab after he missed all of 2024, after showing some promise early in his career in 2022, in 2023. I think all of that is true. Despite that, though, given your investment levels at edge, where you spent a second-round pick on Donovan Ezeraku, you spent a second-round pick on Marshawn Nealon. Despite some of that buzz, I think it makes more sense for both parties to let this one play out. I get a little bit anxious paying a guy coming off an injury. You did it with Jake Ferguson, but it was a different type of injury. Like, we haven't seen Sam Williams play at all. I think given your investments, too, this could be the one you let the middle class of your free agents let walk in free agency.